Welcome to our June Power Hour. I'm Tessa Chappell. I live in Indiana, and you'll see Megan here at the second half, and she's out by Seattle, Washington. As many of you know, Power Hour, we're going to do two layouts in this 1 hour, and we're starting with mine. So we'll flip down to my table. Those of you that attend regularly know that it's been all about Emerson, right? Because I've been trying to get this book ready for graduation. And of course, and then in the party, does it really matter? I don't know. They all looked at the book. Oops, look at the books we had. But my focus has been on doing layouts that are pretty simple to get through because I got to 2012, but I was trying to get through as much as I can. So I'm going to show you two versions of the layout I'm going to do tonight. Actually, three versions. It's a pretty basic layout. I feel like the focus for me is really on the papers and the embellishments that I choose. I can kind of highlight that. And I spend less time on actually putting the layout together itself. So and these were two in her book. On this one, I know you can see the glare of the light. I didn't take off the protector because first, because I wanted to show you, I did have a peekaboo on this side. So the layout shows 3 photos, or you could crop, two down and fit here too. And always choosing peekaboos is a good way to add extra photos to any layout. So this one flaps out to the left. Right there. So I'm going to pull off the protector then so you can kind of get rid of the glare. So the basis of this layout, for those of you that have old CM, I started out with this one originally, which was a 10 by 12 sheet of paper. Some of you have 10 by 12 and you're looking for ways to get rid of them. And then I was working directly on the page in her book, which is an old school way. A lot of people create paper from scratch or your paper weld, which you totally can. But I just needed some paper to fill in here. So I dug through, and this was an old soft touch print. I just had a little bit up there and the old Mrs. Grossman stickers to pull it together. Because the paper is 10 inches, we need 2 inches to fill in a paper. The directions on the handout show 1 inch at the top and 1 inch on the bottom, but we're going to talk about how you can vary that depending on what you choose to do with the top or bottom. On this layout, I had pulled out old Mrs. Grossman Easter egg stickers, and so I wanted to make just a little sticker border with those. And so that meant I need to go a little bit wider than an inch. And so my top ended up being a little shorter than an inch. So you can kind of vary where this 12-inch piece is on your page and fill in and the space accordingly. And that's a great way then to choose old Great Length stickers or border stickers or anything that you have. And we'll talk about adjusting for you with that. That was the Easter one. On this side, that gets rid of the glare. Same concept. I didn't start with a 10 by 12. This was a 12 by 12 scrap I had that I cut down to 10 by 12. And then this is paper ribbon from Old Creative Memories. And then I used a little bit of the prints top and bottom. Again, I shifted this one up slightly. So my bottom border is a little bit wider than the top because I wanted to see a little bit more of this wide print. I had a real wide polka dot. And so if I'd only done 1 inch on top and bottom, I kind of lost some of that effect. So the basis of your pictures is on this 10-inch piece, which means you can shift that up or down and then choose your border width accordingly. I love the rainbow feel of this. It was an art show she did and really played out the colors from that. I'm actually going to use Cheerful again tonight for a similar purpose. Then another adaptation I did later in the book. You have to forgive me. This has some stuff on here that's not Creative Memories. I've also been on a quest to use up my stash. I didn't buy these. I don't even know where I got them. These little football man and the football. But it was a football theme, and I don't do a lot with football. So I didn't want to open a whole new theme pack just to accent one page.
Hey, Tessa, can you push your book up a little higher in the screen? You're just a little low. There we go.
So up here, so this is a 10 by 12 sheet of cardstock, and then I use the border maker. So if you're going to center your page and have an inch at the top and inch at the bottom, you could use a border maker to punch using a knockout or an edger even, and then it will layer a little bit over your 10 by 12. So I didn't add a border element along here because the focus really was on what I punched out. And the same concept with 2 pictures. I only had 2 pictures for this event. And so I did a little bit more with the journal box, and I had room for these football and football on that side. So that's the concept of the layout that we're doing tonight. And again, I went through my photos. I have all of 2013 laid out for her. And I went through and found another sheet where I had just 3 photos. And so again, I'm going to build on the page tonight. If you don't work on the page, which most of you probably are not, you can paper weld your pieces together, or you can cut your borders a little bit wider and then paper weld the paper to the paper. Why do I use 10 by 12? 10 by 12, for those of us that hold creative memories, we have a lot of 10 by 12 paper. That's how big the paper was back then. And so that's how a lot of times when I start my pages, I'm pulling out an old sheet of something, and it creates an easy base because it lets me center those two photos within that 10 inches, and it fits pretty well for the photo. So for my 10-inch piece, I decided to use this polka dot paper. It's mostly a white background, so it's pretty neutral tonal to me. In the Cheerful pack, they have some pretty dominant prints, right? I love this print, but a little goes a long way. So it's great to use for this type of border at the bottom. And then I just pulled out this solid tonal polka dot for the top. And then I have some paper ribbon. Again, I use up a lot of old creative memory supplies. I'm going to use this paper ribbon along the bottom. And then I have this striped one, which will pull in the purple against the polka dot at the top. So that's what I will be using tonight. And I'm going to have to probably shift mine a little bit because this paper ribbon is wider. So if you're, like I said, if you're going to use laser borders or something that's a little bit wider, that's why we're going to focus on our pictures first on the 10-inch piece, and then you can decide how big to make the borders. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I'm going to go ahead and give myself the 10 by 12 base that I'm going to build my photo part on. If you don't know what photos you're going to use, you can piece it together however dimensions that you want, and then you can just overlap your photos onto your borders if needed, if they don't fit. And for the sake of being able to move along in the layout showing you, I'm going to go ahead and cut wider border strips for myself. So I'm going to give myself 2 inches here because I can overlap these, and I'll show you kind of how you can decide what widths you may want on the layout. If you're confident where you want on the page, then you really only need 1 inch of each.
You're going to probably need to push everything up a little bit in your screen. You're still working kind of towards the bottom.
I like to look at, oh, I think maybe it's my camera's tilted.
That is better. Yep.
Looking at my little screen, it looks like I was up there. Is that better?
Yeah, I think part of the issue can be is when you hover down around the zoom menu, it covers up the bottom portion of your screen.
Okay.
So
this is the piece that I want to build for my photos. And I know that I'm going to, I got some extra mats. I brought out some colors to see what might work with my photos. My photos aren't the best quality. This is back in 2013, a little dark. I have the same concept. I have 3 photos. I've trimmed these down a little bit because I don't need to worry about the peekaboos. This side over here. So if I decide to mat them, I need to leave a little bit room for the mat. And you can decide this is a 4.5 by 6.5 mat, which gives me a 1/4 inch on each side, or I could trim these down and just do more of an 1/8 of an inch pop of color. Just gonna throw some colors up here. And I know that my purple is going to go on top. I know my stripes are going to go at the bottom. So if I was sticking to about 1 inch, this is how much I would see. And if I was using a real thin bright light strip or something like that, that would be probably what I would choose. But I wanted to use this paper ribbon. I like to use things up. It kind of pulls the colors together, and you can see that it's pretty wide because this is 1 inch by itself. And so if I put it down here and I overlap these, I'm not going to see a ton of my stripes, but that might be the compromise that I have to take. And then I have the red or the striped front here. You can see I'm going to see a little peak of purple. So And then if I want to see more or less, I can shift where you put your border element. You could put it down farther. And that's why you kind of want to know where your photos or how big your photos are, because I don't like to overlap just a little bit on the border. So if I have this one down here, I'm either want to make a commitment or it looks like I overlapped. I don't want to overlap, so it's just a tiny little bit. So I'm either going to try to fit these in between my borders or I'm going to overlap it. I want to cut 12 inches of my paper ribbon. Any of you guys still have paper ribbon that you're using up? You have the old power palettes, you might. And I think in the end, I want to cut down my mats. I think 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 is going to be enough color and allow me more space for the print. I'm just going to cut off a little bit of these.
Tessa, that's the cheerful paper pack, right?
This is cheerful. It is the cheerful. I don't think I want yellow. I think I'd rather have blue. This is when I did a poll in the ideas group the other day. Cheerful is one of the options I put on there because I just think this is a very versatile color palette. It has bright colors, but they're not neon. I wish they would remake it. And they came with a story box mat. So you got like 96 of these mats in journal boxes. So my mats are representing my photo size. And I want to see a little bit extra of my print down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this. Because I'm on a page, I can overlap, but this is why even if you're paper welding, you could still cut 2 inches because then it gives you space to overlap if you need to paper weld your pieces together. I'm going to adhere this and I'm going to kind of shift it up a little bit so it overlaps more of the polka dot because I did the skinnier mats, and then I can still show quite a bit of the stripe at the bottom. And I use regular tape with my paper ribbon because of the curl in it. Sometimes the curl wants to curl back up. If you are not good about putting things on straight, Megan and I do suggest, the T ruler. You can put it up against the edge of your paper or your mat to make sure that you are adhering it across where you want it. And then for this side, I want to do the rainbow. It looks like to fit my mat. I'm going to be about centered down the middle of it. And it is a good tip. If I wasn't on camera, I would play with the paper ribbon more to get it to flatten out. A lot of times I kind of use one of those flexible border lines rulers and kind of rub it along the back of it. It looks like I cut that a little short too, so I will fix that during Meggan. We'll piece that together a little bit. Take my edges a little bit more.
Did you tape down your polka dot paper in the middle?
I don't know, it's not moving.
Okay, I must have missed it, which is fine. Maybe I did.
Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's just in place. Maybe the ribbon is, I guess we'll be able to watch the replay. So it still gives me space for my mats, and I can decide where I want to put my pictures. Emerson and the twins doing Play-Doh and painting. And then if you're using 3 photos in the same orientation with the horizontal and the vertical, you can either center your photo here or you can leave space at the bottom. So on the art show one, I had done the art show with the cheerful ABC. So if you have any old ABCs or just regular ABC, you can have fun with your title there. I also pulled out the cheerfuls came with these tags, or you can make a little tag with the bevel tag maker that we have right now. I could put my title on here. And I dug through too. I get so excited when I can throw away one of these sticker strips, some remnants of paint, swatches and paint that I can use around. But I thought I might use these actually to do craft time. Just do craft time right there with the paint on each side of it. So yeah, Nancy's telling me I didn't really tape that piece together. I guess I'm just a little flustered tonight. That's the concept behind the layout. So again, it's really simple. It doesn't take very long to put together, but allows me to play with some of the prints that I think I can use up the ribbon. I have a lot going on with color and design, and so I don't really need a lot of fancy technique or punching to keep the focus on. I think it would be too overwhelming with it. What were you guys playing with tonight? Are you guys using 10 by 12 or cutting down? How many of you even have 10 by 12 paper? I guess that would be an interesting. We've pulled in a lot of new people. You guys have 10 by 12?
I don't have any 10 by 12 pattern paper. I have 10 by 12 cardstock, but I don't have any 10 by 12 pattern paper. Oh, I take it back. I do. I wasn't that there. Maybe I do. I think I have one set.
Well, and sometimes I end up, I guess, with 10-inch pieces left over in regular collections, because if you just cut off a 1 inch
for sure
border, then you end up with a 10-inch thing. So I feel like with that cheerful, I think I had that in my stash probably from cutting off 2 inches for some other border along the way. And then when someone said, why 10 by 12? It's because it fits the photos so well. And then you slap it down in the middle and accent each side and you're done. So I guess if you're like me and you're just trying to crank the layouts out, this is the kind of thing, and use that product. This is what I like to do. Cindy's using the old zoo paper, the wild side. Yeah, that's 10 by 12. That's a good idea. Right, well, I'll be excited to see what you did. I'll go back and make sure I've taped my middle down. I don't think it's going to move. Does anybody even scrapbook on their page anymore? This is pretty unusual for me, but her book got started with pages. So I'm trying to finish it with pages. Yeah.
I'm impressed for people that can scrapbook on the page, because that implies that you're organized and can put it all in order.
I did. Well, I did organize. So that's what I've done, is I've printed all the pics. So for 2013, I know what layouts I'm doing. And so when I went to grab my page, I just looked at my little list and was like, okay, this is going to go on this side. And I could commit to it. So all good. Okay. Well, yours is very nice too. It's a simple design, but it has a little bit more technique design.
All right. Hello, everybody. So welcome to the second half of Power Hour. I'm Megan Jacks out here in what is now sunny Seattle area. I'm just north of Seattle. So yeah, my layout today is pretty simple. I am going to be putting the second page of the 2-page layout together. They're both done the same way. So let's go ahead. We'll just get started on that. So this is the layout that's on your handout. You can see here, it's pretty simple, just some We're going to cut some 4-inch strips on an angle and put them together on the layout. I am going to be putting together a very simple border using the Circles BMC with another type of paper. I am using the You've Got This collection. So Tessa has a lot of old stuff. I don't have as much old stuff. I have more current, and the tie-dye papers, actually really what inspired these colors was my son's the shirt he wore for the last day of school. This is last year's last day of school, so his last day of kindergarten. And it kind of had those pastel colors in here, and I thought it worked really nice with the pastels that are kind of included in the You Got This collection. So we're going to be creating this I am going to be creating this exact same page, a second version of it. So you'll see it carried into a 2-page layout, but certainly it can be done as a single page layout. And my directions are talk about it being a 1-page layout. If you wanted to make it a 2-page layout, you just double everything. So you use 2 background papers or cardstock. And when you're doing your background papers, remember, you're only going to see a little bit. I am using one of the papers out of the You Got This collection. I think it's out of the denim. Yeah, I think this is one of the denim papers. The other side makes me think of like the old farmer pajama, or excuse me, overalls, the stripes. But the opposite side to that was just a very neutral pattern to it. And I did like a little bit of the detail coming through. So that's my background. But I've only got, like I said, just little bits of it coming through. And then I'm just going to repeat my stripes. So I've got those 3 colors. I have to cut a fresh piece of the green. I didn't have another 4-inch wide strip. Got one of the denim papers and then this yellow tie-dye. So those are the colors I'm using. Now, if you are making a 2-page layout, you could actually use a total of 6 different pieces here. I'm sticking with the green, the yellow, and the blue. I'm just going to repeat it, but you certainly could, have different pieces all the way across and really mix and match how you're going to organize it. So that's something to keep in mind there. So as we get started, if you're looking at the handout here, there are 2 different ways to make your angled cuts. I show you here in the top row, I show if you want to use a ruler or your cutting mat to mark your pieces before you cut, you certainly can do that method. You would use just use your pencil, draw your lines, or excuse me, use your pencil, mark both sides of the paper, and then cut on the angle to connect those, with the lining up the marks on the trim line and then cutting. Or you can use your trimmer, the ruler on your trimmer, to actually make that angle. So I'm going to walk you through this first one with 1 piece of my paper. And then just for time's sake, I'm going to switch over to this other method. The second, it should say option 2. I see that I have an error on here. It should say option 1 and option 2. So I will show you option 1 first, and then I'll show you option 2 for the cutting. But the first thing I am going to do is go ahead and cut my 3 pieces of paper down to 4 inches. They need to be cut down to 4 inches wide by 11.5 inches tall. I'm going to cut them to 4 inches wide first, and then I'll chop off that 1/2 inch. So just come out here to 4 inches and trim. And do this last one, then I'll have all 3. If you have directional paper, you're going to want to make sure that your top, we're using these in the vertical format. So this would be the top of your paper. You're going to be cutting the vertical format. You certainly, this layout could be done. If you have horizontal pictures, you could turn it to the side and do that. So you have to know whether or not you have vertical photos or you have horizontal photos. And of course you can mix and match. I mean, we're creating a very basic background that I put 3 vertical photos in. I have 3 more vertical photos. I have a lot of vertical photos. As I've been working through Summer Scrap Challenge and trying to come up with layouts, I have way too many vertical photos. So this is all about using vertical photos, but you certainly can rotate. You could put your photos on here differently. You'll have a basic background. Once we get everything on here, you can then put your photos on how you need to. So if you want essentially these stripes, these big columns that we're doing, you would want to make sure you're cutting the top of your paper here. So yes, I am using both packs of paper. This is the tie-dyed paper from the You Got This collection, had tie-dye paper and it had denim. And I am using some of each for this layout. I like the denim mixed in with it. This offers a nice balance to those two tie-dyes. All right, so I've cut these to 4 inches wide. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut off 1/2 inch to make them 11.5 inches tall. So I'm just cutting off 1/2 inch. You can save these strips if you want. They make nice little, if you wanted to do, like the denim's hard, but these pastel ones, you could make those as journal bars. If you wanted to put little writing on there or something else, or you can throw them away. Put them in your scraps. And so I have kind of learned that I need to sometimes be a little more selective of my scraps, because scraps are they're the one thing that I always have to Marie Kondo out of my scrap space, are all of my scraps, and tell myself I need to let it go. They're not making me happy. I need to let them go. It is fine. If I've ignored them for that long, then I need to move on. Or I need to organize them. It's either put them in the trash or organize them. So a lot of times they end up in the trash. So there we go. I've got 3 strips that are all 11.5 long, 4 inches wide. So now I'm going to grab my yellow because it's a lighter color, and I'm going to do option 1 with my yellow strip, just so because it's lighter and I'll be able to show you. So I'm going to grab my cutting mat and a pencil. All right, so what I need to do is I need to come down, and I'm going to put, my sheet here is 11.5 inches tall. So I'm going to come up here all the way to the top edge, and I need to measure down. I can see here in the first picture, I need to measure down 1 inch on the left side from the top. I'm coming down 1 inch. All right, 1 inch. On the right side, I need to come down 1.5 inches. So on my trimming mat, that is 3 squares. 2 squares is 1 inch, 3 squares is 1.5, and there's my other line. Now, I need to measure here at the bottom as well. So if you need to, I've already measured here at the top. What I can do is I can just slide my paper down. All right. I'm basically reestablishing 0 at the bottom. Now, according to my directions here, if I look at my picture over here on the left edge of my directions, on my left side, I need to measure 1.5 inches. On the right side, I need to measure 1 inch. So you'll see, if I were to, I'm going to make a line that's angled that, or cut that direction, and I'm going to have another one cut this direction. So they're going to be parallel angled cuts. They're both going the same direction. All right. So now that I've got those measurements made, I'm going to grab my trimmer. I'm going to insert my paper. I'm going to put my paper on here, and I'm going to find my mark There's one mark. I've lined it up on my cutting line, and I'm going to find that second mark. At the top, I've got the first line. The second line mark is down here, and I cut from piece to piece. So I've got a little bit of an angle. It's not much of an angle. And I'll make the same cut going from my pencil mark to my pencil mark on the other end. So there we go. And see here how they line up. All right. So now that is using option 1. You can mark with your pencil, works great. You can do your other 3 pieces that way. I'm going to show you option 2. So this particular one, this denim paper, it's a little darker. It's harder to see the pencil marks. I don't have to use the pencil marks. What I can do, really, what I'm looking for is to make angled cuts that are consistent across all of my columns of paper. So I measured, that worked great. You could repeat all the same things. If you follow the same measurements that I have here, even if you did the first one here with your pencil marks, option 2 will give you the same angles, just without the pencil marks. So we have our column here. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to take the top corner. Here's my top corner right here. I'm going to line it up at the 1-inch mark to the right of my cutting bar here, or my guide bar. You'll see there's the 1-inch mark. I'm going to line my top corner up at 1 inch. And then I'm going to angle my paper. I'm going to pivot my paper. It's like I can rotate my paper. I'm going to rotate so that my bottom corner comes over to 1.5 inches. So at the top, I'm at 1 inch. The bottom corner, I'm coming over here to 1.5 inches, which is 2 of those black lines over. And then I can cut. Now all I have to do is rotate my paper 180 degrees. And I'm going to repeat the same thing, the same measurement. So I've got my 1 inch, come over here. The top corner goes to 1 inch. The bottom corner pivots over to 1.5 inch. And I'll make the cut. Repeat it again with my third strip. So you can see with that, this is just a little bit faster than having to make your pencil marks. Top corner at 1 inch, pivot or rotate it around to the bottom corners at 1.5 and cut. Rotate the paper 180 degrees. Line up at 1 inch on the top. Pivot that bottom corner around over to 1.5. And trim. And now I've got all my pieces. So I'm going to scoot them all over here so you can see. There's all of my pieces. And now since we trimmed off that 1/2 inch, what I'll be able to do is when assembling, all I do is these bottom pieces will come, I'll adhere them to the bottom. Right in a row, they're all 4 inches wide. They'll butt up right next to each other. Do the same thing at the top, line these all up on the top edge of my paper. And then I just put these in the middle. Now, I mentioned here, one of the things I mentioned with this particular layout is you certainly could keep your pieces top and bottom, line them all up and have the colors just be great, or you can mix and match. Initially, when I put this layout together, this is what I was going to do. I just wanted that kind of fun angled, perspective there. But then I decided to mix things up, and then I liked it a lot better, especially I thought it looked really nice with this particular, with the photos and everything. So I am going to mix them up. If you are doing a 2-page layout and you have more than 3 different patterns that you're working with, you can really start playing, mixing and matching all your pieces. So I will start my assembly. Got my background paper. I'm going to make sure that there's a little bit of a pattern to this. It's got some stripe effects to it. I am going to go ahead and make sure that those are vertical because they are in my first page. And then I'm going to start putting pieces on. Put the bottom and the top pieces on first, and then the middle pieces you can center between. And actually, I need to pay attention here because I'm repeating the same pattern here. So that this should be a denim one. I'll use my piece of paper here. Set that up there for me so I can see what I'm doing. I need to put a denim piece in first. So and then green. While we're doing the assembly here, I have to tell you, and I'll have to post a picture. I will share a picture. My son is the same age he's a senior as well. So my oldest is a senior and he is getting ready to graduate. We're a couple weeks behind most of you out there. We do not get out of school till just after Father's Day. And this past weekend is what they call senior ball. So they had prom a few weeks ago. Our prom at our school is school wide. It's almost just like a spring formal. But they now have what they call senior ball. And so my son was really hemming and hawing whether he's going to go. He doesn't have a girlfriend. He's just got some buddies and, I don't know. They weren't sure what they were going to do. So he decided to go. Have some friends of his that said, well, we just need to go. So my son does not have a lot of formal clothes. And we knew we were not going to have time to rent a tux. It really wasn't a true tux situation. My husband took him out to go buy clothes. My son is very, very slender. He wears a 28 waist pants, and that can be a challenge to find. So they had no luck at any of the places they went. One of the shops said, well, if you've been here before the prom rush, but he's like, during prom, we sell out of all those teenage boys sizes. So anyway, who knew? But my Sunday comes along and I'm like, well, you have to go shopping. You got to figure this out. So he and his buddy decide to go shopping together on Saturday. I'm at a birthday party with Cody. I message my son. I say, hey, how's it going? You having any luck? He says, sure, I am. And Ingrid, I am not mirroring my pattern. I am keeping the same orientation. So you can see here, I kept the same pattern. So green, yellow, blue, green, yellow, blue. You certainly can do it however you want. All right. If you want to mirror it, that would be fantastic too. So I get a picture from my son. I am outdoors at a park and I'm looking at this picture that he sends to me. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And I'll post it. He rocked it. He and his friend, they found these jackets. They were fun and funky. And these are fun and funky kids, but they're not outwardly fun and funky. If you get, they're fun kids. They got, but they're not the kind of kids that really go out there and push the boundaries on what they're wearing. So
where did they find those at?
JC Penney.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah, let's just say that if my son, I certainly, probably the only time I'll ever use heavily floral paper with my son's, for Kevin's layouts, but I've got to
go
get
in Pennies, I guess, and see what else they got.
Yeah, it was the one place my husband didn't go, but I will tell you, I think if my husband had taken, they never would have gotten that. They never would have. There was two versions to this jacket. My son's friend picked one version. My son wore a different one, and it worked good. It worked good. And it was really great. They got these aviator sunglasses to wear with them. My son wears glasses, so he had to put his contacts in. His friend drives a 1965 Dodge Dart that is, questionable. Will it start today type situation? And they rocked it. They looked really good. They had a good time. So I'm glad he had that chance to have that kind of memory, because it's been an interesting couple of years. So I'll post.
So Megan sends me the picture, but before I open it, I just see a messenger. I honestly thought she was sending me a meme. I mean, it's a good pic, but I thought it was a meme at first. And I opened it, it's like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, no, because it looks like it would be. I mean, I told my son, and I don't know whether he'll ever go to any kind of a formal dance at college. Some colleges have formals. I don't know if he ends up at, I don't think he'll join a fraternity, but if he has a girlfriend that's in a sorority, maybe that. I said, well, you can take that jacket, and you just need to have your girlfriend just needs to get like a solid, wine colored or pink dress, and you guys look pretty nice together. So I've got my background done. So here you can see we have just a really nice background, just kind of fun. Got lots of my vertical photos. So I'm just going to repeat this exact same layout. But imagine, you could come in with some different layouts here. Maybe trim your photos down just a little bit smaller. These are, of course, 4x6s, but if you trim them down to 3.5x5s, or the 3.5x4, you could do that. I pulled mats just to show you guys, because you could come in with the matte effect there. So do some stuff here. Like I said, I love just kind of the simple backgrounds to put together. You also could do, I did not use a mat for the middle photo, but you could. So here's some of the photos. The reason I'm going to use peekaboo pockets on this, because I have one extra photo, and I'll journal in there as well. But if I wasn't going to peekaboo pocket, you could easily come in and do, like, put a mat in the middle, and it overlaps, and that would be nice. Especially this one had, I wish I was a little more daring to use more of the pink on here, because I really did like the pink pastel. There's a pink pastel matte that goes with the You Got This collection, but I'm just using some of the red. I'm pulling the red out in this. So that would be an option there too, is just to do that. You could still use some border details or maybe the stickers. I'm not going that route. I am going to, it's going to look like this. And then this photo here will be a peekaboo pocket in here somewhere. I'm not sure where. So one of the things that we're doing is, and we'll see how this works out because he's switching schools next year, is they have this little statue out front of his school. And my goal had been to take a picture every year with it and see how he grows over time. So now I have to make the decision, will we just drive back to that school to take another picture next year? Or find something else at his new school to do something like that with. But if you have something like that at your kids or grandkids' schools to do something like that, that's always a fun way to kind of through the years show how quickly they grow. But I do have a border detail in my sample. I will carry that same border detail over here. So I'm going to just do a quick punch. This is the Mars shimmer paper that is in the Showtime sampler pack. So in the sampler pack, there's 2 shimmer papers that are not in our core lineup. This shimmer, Mars shimmer, which is a little bit of a darker red as compared to Firecracker. So this is not as bright. I actually really like this. And then there is what they call fine gold that is definitely different. I cannot compare it to the old gold from Creative Memories, but it's definitely brighter and more yellow than the bronze shimmer. So I'll be getting some more of the sampler pack because I definitely want more of this Mars shimmer. But I'm going to use the border maker system, and I'm going to go ahead and punch out circle chain. Use whatever you have there. You could, if you've got a border sticker, the paper ribbon, you've got washi tape, sticker, laser cut border, whatever you have that goes. And I had already cut this for circle chain, the new circle chain. You want it to be about 3/16 or 3/8 of an inch is about the size that'll feed in here nicely. So 3/8 of an inch, just a little bit more than that 1/4 inch. Of course, you can, that with the 3/8 fills up the holes so that you really don't see much through it. That's the biggest thing to note there. You certainly can go narrower if you want. And I'm just doing a very basic over under border weave with this. If you're doing any kind of weaving with your borders, experiment with the pattern. That gives you a nice different effect. You've seen us do that with picket fence. And it'll go on as such. This will come in here, and then I will finish out some of the embellishments on this side. I'm not sure exactly what I'll include over here. I need to look through the You've Got This collection. I think there was a couple, I'll figure it out. So that's how that looks. All right. Any questions? Peg's asking about for the peekaboo pockets for Creative. So the peekaboo pockets, we do not necessarily, they're a product from Creative Memories, and they, they're just an adhesive flap that you can put on there. So we'll see. I have Tessa either, I don't know if Tessa has a video or can take a quick video of her showing it how it flaps around. So we don't have to actually make anything. They come as the 4x6 from Creative Memories. So, all right.
It sounded like a lot of people scrapbook on the page, but for those someone was asking, what are the pros and cons of scrapbooking on a page or not? Do you want to answer that? Have you ever scrapbooked on a page?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, I do remember seeing that. So I'll come up to just a second here. All right. So pros and cons of going on the page. Going on the page, hey, it's a page. It's right there. It's all set to go, right? It's all in your album. It's you've got your background all set to go. So I do that when I'm doing my Fast to Fabulous albums, because for a lot of our Fast to Fabulous albums, the pages have the design. Or all of the Fast to Fabulous albums, the Jeeped pages have the design there. It's faster. You don't necessarily have to paper weld things together. And it's, it's just all set to go. The con, and I'm probably the worst person to talk about the pros of going on the page because I don't go on the page. The biggest, for me, the con of being on the album page is that you do kind of have to scrapbook in order. You have to know. So if you're really good at the chronological, which I can be for a vacation, right? I can lay out my vacation. I've got a start and I've got an end point and I'm good to go. I can work it all out. If you, like Tessa's talking about, she's got 2013 all printed. She has her list. She knows how to work through it. If you're caught up and you're scrapping as life is happening, you can do that. If you're like me and a little more disorganized, or you jump around a lot, creating not scrapbooking on the page and doing what we call wallpapering, where you are either building your base page like I did here. I have this page and I can do what I want with it. I can put it in an album that has Jeeped pages. I'm not limited to not using those Jeeped pages. Or you could do the top loading pages. And the thing that's nice about those when you've done like this is that you can move them around when you need to. So if you're out of order, so I've got these pages from Cody. Well, I can tell you earlier today, or actually last night for Summer Scrap, I was scrapbooking a layout that was from 10 years ago, actually more like 12. So it's easy for me just to drop that layout into the album that it needs to go into, or put a bunch of random layouts in an album. I call them holding albums. Rather than having a stack of layouts that I've randomly created, I'll just put them all into an album, and then we can enjoy them. They're in top loading pages. We can enjoy them, and then I can reorganize them as I need to. So it really depends on your scrapping style. There's no right or wrong way to do it. If you find yourself creating a lot of just random pages like this, or not necessarily random, if you find yourself wallpapering, I would consider trying the top loading pages. You never know, you might really like them. There's a lot of great things about them, but if you love the Jeep pages, you can just still create the layouts like this, adhere them onto the Jeep pages, put your page protector on, and you are good to go. So you're going to see, I think a lot of people on here talking, they do both. So there's really no right or wrong way to do with the scrapping directly on the page, or scrapbooking with more decoration, either on a piece of cardstock, a background paper, or paper welding. We do a lot of paper welding, and we only usually do the paper welding because of it just saves material, especially like really pretty paper, right? If you want to mix and match your papers, do that. I had somebody send me a message, and I don't think it came to everybody, the pros and cons of the top loading pages versus the side loading. Right now, Creative Memories only offers top loading pages. The big difference between the two is there used to be side loading pages, or if you think about it, our Jeep album pages that have the page protectors are side loading in a way. People have different thoughts on dust. That some people are concerned that the top loading pages are going to have a problem with dust, but I've never experienced that. But I think it's because my shelves are pretty tight. So when you slide in, there's not a whole lot of room for the dust to get in there. Dust would obviously just kind of settles in. So, go with what works best for you. If you are really concerned about dust, you might want to stick with the traditional Jeep pages. They slide in, then you've got that at the top. But if that's not an issue you see with your albums, then give those top loading pages a try. So
hi, Cody.
Yeah, the ice cream truck is coming through the neighborhood, and apparently that's an emergency. So anyway, that's the top loading pages, everything there. So yeah, ice cream. Hey, I kind of feel the same way a little bit, like, can you get something for me? I have a list here I want to go through quickly as we wrap things up. So thanks for joining us for the Power Hour. You might hear the ice cream truck in the background here. The summer scrap is going on right now. So I don't know if you guys, hope many of you are joining us. Many of you have already heard about it, but if you haven't, it's a fun 8 weeks. We dropped a challenge project, a layout this morning into the group. We're gonna have a throwback layout that's coming out on Thursday. And we do that for 8 weeks. You get 2 layout things that come out each week. It's all set to do on your own. They're fun, they're simple. We want you to enjoy summer, but we want you to keep making pages and getting your photos into albums. The next item I want to talk about is if y'all found us on Monday, wait till July. If we thought June was hard to find a date to do this, July was terrible. I mean, I was throwing out days and she's like, nope. And she's like, what about this date? I'm like, nope, doesn't work for me. I'm traveling or whatever. So we are going to do the July Power Hour on Friday, July 22nd during the day, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We will be loading that into Facebook tonight. There'll be if you're here tonight, you don't need to do anything except maybe on the Facebook event, mark it as going so that you have it on your Facebook calendar. They'll help you, remind you. Beginning of July, somewhere in there, we'll be sending out reminders. You will not, you shouldn't miss the notification and the reminders that we're going to have it on a different date. If you can't make us, we know daytime is hard for some people. We record everything. We always record everything. So you will be able to catch that recording. You'll catch it over that weekend. and have a chance to watch it. Today's layouts, the stuff that you create for today, for the June Power Hour, we want you to share it into the layout group. And so you'll see on our handouts that we have the hashtag we want you to use. So this is June 2022 P8 for Power Hour. Go ahead and get those posted into the group, the layouts, ideas and inspiration group, by June 14th, which is next Tuesday. And then we will get the winner drawn and post the winner on Wednesday, June 15th. And that is after Tessa and I get back into our respective towns after going to Minneapolis. So the July Power Hour is Friday, July 22nd, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And we have the other item that will be coming up for those of you that are interested is Creative Life Scrapbooking, the design co-op that Tessa and I are both members of, or design team members for. They'll be doing their July PJ party. It's going to be on Friday, July 29th. So that's also coming up for summer activities. And then I think maybe in August, we were hoping to be back to our little bit of our standard thing, but I will tell you, August is still vacation time for me. We don't start school until after Labor Day. So Tess and I will get the date for August Power Hour figured out and everything like that. So I see Cindy asking if we got the secret box yet. I did. I love it. I love it. I cannot express how much I love it. And so I'm excited to be able to use it. I'm gonna have a hard time waiting.
It's better than the last few, I think.
The last one, I love the ribbon punch. I use it all the time, the ribbon punch. I do not have a lot of glitter and glitz in my life. So it's one of those sets of papers I will enjoy having around as I need to use it. This next one, oh, I can't wait. So that, yes, Joanne is asking, there's two boxes. They are the same. Okay, we all know it has paper in there, right? The paper is the same in both boxes. And there's just a couple of other things. If you really want to know, you can go to the landing page for the secret box, scroll all the way to the bottom, and it will give you the types of product that are included in the secret box so you can see what they are. If you really, really, really want to know, send me a message. All right.
But Meggan needs to be packing for the trip.
Yeah. So
all 300 people.
All right. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, post everything into the layouts group by the evening before your clock says June 15th. That would be great. And then we will post on June 15th, sometime that day, we will go ahead and get the winner posted for the Power Hour. And yeah. All right.
If they missed May, they can just hashtag and find the winner post.
Yes. If you miss, use the hashtag and find the winner. And I think I remember who it is, but I don't want to say it and have it all wrong. So, all right. Yes, we'll have fun. Tess and I will be together. We're going to take Minneapolis by storm and we'll see who can walk each other into oblivion. I've been practicing.
I walk miles every day.
Yeah, so she thinks. So, all right, everybody have a great night. I feel like I should say have a great weekend, but honestly, it's Monday. So have a great week. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.